meeting that shook the NBA. One private meeting may have just changed the future of the NBA. Draymond Green and LeBron James were reportedly spending time together at an undisclosed location, and the timing could not have been more explosive. LeBron's future was hanging over the league like a storm cloud. The Lakers were preparing for life without him. Rival teams were circling, and every contender was searching for one move that could shift the balance of power. Then Draymond appeared. At first, the report sounded harmless, two longtime friends catching up. But in the NBA, timing is never harmless. Draymond is not just LeBron's friend. He is the emotional engine of Golden State, a fearless recruiter, and a player known for saying the quiet part out loud. So when the meeting leaked, fans immediately asked the same question. Was this simply dinner, or the beginning of the biggest recruiting pitch of the summer? The suspicion grew because Draymond understands how personal relationships can become basketball leverage. His bond with LeBron is especially powerful. These two once battled through 4 straight NBA finals, exchanging trash talk, pressure, and championship heartbreak. They were fierce enemies on the league's biggest stage. Somehow, that rivalry became real trust, and now, that trust may be Golden State's greatest weapon. LeBron is no ordinary free agent. He remains a global force, a playoff problem, and the kind of player who can instantly change a franchise's expectations. Even late in his legendary career, his presence still affects ticket sales, television ratings, locker room confidence, and championship belief. If Draymond can convince him that the Warriors offer one final title run besides Stephen Curry, the league could be staring at a partnership that once seemed impossible. Imagine LeBron and Curry sharing the same offense. Imagine Draymond directing the defense while Steve Kerr controls the system. It would not just be another roster move, it would be former enemies combining their legacies for one final attack on the NBA. But the secret meeting was only the first signal. Days later, Draymond stepped behind a microphone, and what he said about the Lakers made this story much bigger than friendship. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what happens next. Press 1 for Chap 2, or press 2 to stop. Draymond breaks his silence. The meeting created the rumor. Draymond's own words turned it into a warning. Only days after spending private time with LeBron James, Green stepped behind a microphone and said what almost nobody around the league was willing to say publicly. The Lakers may have taken LeBron for granted, not because they were forced to move on, not because his impact had disappeared, but because the organization had become too comfortable with having a once-in-a-generation force in the building. Draymond did not limit the conversation to points, rebounds, or assists. He talked about the full weight LeBron carries, the attention, the ticket sales, the television interest, the pressure he puts on opponents before the game even begins, the belief he creates inside a locker room when the playoffs arrive and every possession becomes heavier. That sounded less like praise and more like a presentation. Green was publicly listing everything another franchise would gain by signing LeBron and everything Los Angeles could lose by letting him walk. The timing made it impossible to ignore. He had just met with LeBron, Golden State needed another major move, and now Draymond was describing James as if he were speaking directly to a front office. He also warned that the Lakers' new direction could face a brutal test in the postseason. Building around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves may create cleaner spacing and younger legs, but playoff basketball is not played on paper. When defenses tighten, when the pressure rises, and when one possession decides a season, very few players understand those moments like LeBron James. That was the hidden message. The Lakers may believe they have already entered a new era. Draymond believes they may not understand what they have abandoned until the games matter most. And if Golden State truly wants LeBron, Green just made sure the entire league knows one thing. Somebody still sees the King as a championship-changing force. The value Los Angeles could not measure. The most dangerous mistake in sports is believing a legend's value can be reduced to a stat sheet. LeBron James is no longer the youngest superstar in the league, but Draymond's argument was simple. His influence still reaches far beyond points, rebounds, and assists. When LeBron enters a building, the entire environment changes. Opposing coaches rebuild game plans. Young teammates carry themselves differently. Television schedules shift, sponsors, media, and fans follow every move. That kind of power cannot be replaced by signing several solid players. The Lakers may survive financially because their brand remains one of the strongest in sports. They still have Luka Doncic, a global superstar capable of leading the next era. But surviving is not the same as replacing. A franchise can remain famous while becoming less feared. It can sell tickets while losing the one-player opponent's trust to control the final 5 minutes of a playoff game. Draymond understood that difference because he spent years trying to stop LeBron on the biggest stage. He knew the physical pressure, the mental pressure, and the constant adjustments required just to slow him down. His praise carried more weight than a friendly compliment. It came from someone who built part of his own legacy by surviving LeBron's attack. Now imagine that force helping Golden State instead of trying to destroy it. LeBron would not need to dominate every possession besides Stephen Curry. Curry's movement would pull defenders away. Draymond could handle defensive communication and secondary playmaking. Steve Kerr could manage veterans who already understand championship pressure. The fit is not perfect, and age cannot be ignored. But perfection is not the standard. The real question is whether LeBron can still decide a playoff series. Draymond's answer was clear: yes. And if the Lakers enter the postseason searching for one more creator, leader, or player who refuses to panic, their decision to move on from LeBron may return like a shadow. The $27.7 million gamble. Then came the move that made the rumors impossible to dismiss. Draymond Green reportedly declined a guaranteed player option worth $27.7 million. On the surface, it looked like a veteran choosing flexibility. Inside the larger story, it looked like a sacrifice designed to unlock Golden State's final championship gamble. Players do not casually walk away from guaranteed money near the end of a career. Draymond understood the risk. A smaller annual salary could cost him millions. A failed plan could leave him negotiating from a weaker position. Even after re-signing, nothing would completely protect him from becoming part of a future trade package. Still, he opened the door. The decision could allow Golden State to restructure his contract and create more room for major additions. Suddenly, the private meeting with LeBron did not look isolated. First came the financial sacrifice, then came the face-to-face conversation, then came the public defense of LeBron's value. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Draymond explained his choice through loyalty. He described the Warriors as more than an employer, a family, almost like an alma mater. After 14 years in one place, helping the organization improve still mattered deeply to him. That emotion may be genuine, but the basketball calculation is just as real. Golden State knows the Stephen Curry era is running out of time. The team cannot wait years for young players to develop. It cannot protect every draft pick while pretending another championship remains the priority. If the Warriors want one final run, they must act with urgency. Draymond's sacrifice gave them that chance. It also placed part of his future in LeBron's hands. If James chooses Golden State, the move could be remembered as the decision that created one last super team. If James goes elsewhere, Draymond may have surrendered guaranteed money for a dream that never became real. He's betting part of his own career that LeBron still believes one final championship can be built in the Bay. The super team behind the curtain. Golden State's dream is not difficult to understand. It is difficult to believe. Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Draymond Green, and if the front office can complete an even more complicated trade, Anthony Davis. That lineup would contain championship experience, elite intelligence, defensive versatility, historic shooting, and more playoff mileage than some entire franchises. It would also be old, expensive, physically fragile, and surrounded by enormous expectation. That is exactly why the idea is so fascinating. Curry and LeBron already showed during the 2024 Paris Olympics that their games can connect. Curry's movement creates space without demanding the ball. LeBron's passing punishes defenses that overreact. Steve Kerr has already coached both players under pressure, and the partnership worked in real competition. Adding Davis would transform the fantasy into a serious basketball argument. He could protect the rim, finish around the basket, cover defensive mistakes, and reunite with a teammate who helped him win a championship in Los Angeles. But the Warriors cannot create that roster through friendship alone. They would need LeBron to accept a financial structure far below what his resume normally commands. Draymond would need to return on a team-friendly deal. Another franchise would have to approve a massive Davis trade. Golden State would also need to surrender valuable assets without destroying the depth required to survive a full season. One wrong number could collapse everything. That is why the secret meetings matter. Golden State cannot promise LeBron the finished roster yet. It can only sell him the vision. One last historic run with former rivals who understand his urgency. Come play beside the greatest shooter ever. Reunite with Davis. Turn years of finals warfare into one final alliance. Chase a championship that would reshape every legacy involved. For Curry, it could be the boldest final chapter imaginable. For LeBron, it could be the most dramatic partnership of his career. For Draymond, it would validate every risk he has taken, but to build that dream, Golden State may have to sacrifice a star already wearing its jersey. Jimmy Butler becomes the price. Every super team has a cost. And in Golden State's case, that cost may be Jimmy Butler. To acquire Anthony Davis, the Warriors would likely need a package built around major salary, valuable draft capital, and enough talent to convince another front office to change direction. Butler becomes the obvious name because his contract can help make the numbers work, and his reputation still carries star-level value. That creates an uncomfortable contradiction. Publicly, Golden State has expressed support for Butler and his recovery. His representatives have emphasized that ownership, coaches, medical staff, and executives remain committed to helping him return. Privately, however, a front office chasing LeBron and Davis would have to examine every possible route, and Butler may be the central piece. This is where ambition becomes personal. Butler is not an empty contract with no emotional connection to the team. He is a respected competitor who built his identity around toughness, sacrifice, and playoff courage. Trading him while he works through rehabilitation would invite criticism, especially if the plan depended on older stars with their own health concern. Yet championship windows rarely close politely. Golden State must decide whether loyalty means protecting the current roster or giving Curry the strongest possible chance at another title. Those goals may no longer be compatible. If the Warriors believe LeBron and Davis can create a higher postseason ceiling, sentiment will not stop the front office from listening. The risk is enormous. If Butler is moved and the new super team succeeds, the decision will be praised as ruthless genius. If the plan fails, Golden State could lose draft picks, depth, flexibility, and trust inside the locker room. Players around the league would remember how quickly public support turned into trade machinery. Recruiting LeBron is not just about adding a friend. It could force Golden State to remove another proud veteran from the picture. The Warriors are deciding which relationships they are willing to damage for one final chance at basketball immortality. From enemies to brothers. The reason Draymond became Golden State's most important recruiter can be traced back to a time when he and LeBron could barely stand each other. For 4 consecutive NBA Finals, the Warriors and Cavaliers turned the league into a personal war. Every possession carried history. Every hard foul became a headline. Every argument, technical foul, press conference, and stare across the court added another layer to the rivalry. Draymond was Golden State's emotional weapon. LeBron was Cleveland's unstoppable force. They challenged each other publicly and privately. Draymond tried to disrupt LeBron's rhythm, confidence, and patience. LeBron tried to expose every weakness in Golden State's defense. The 2016 Finals made their conflict permanent in NBA history, with Cleveland completing a legendary comeback and Draymond's suspension becoming one of the series' defining moments. Nobody watching those battles imagined they would become close friends. But rivalry can create a strange kind of respect. Draymond learned how much preparation, strength, and discipline LeBron carried into every postseason. LeBron learned that Green's intensity was not an act. Behind the confrontations were 2 competitors who understood how difficult winning really was. Over time, respect became trust. The relationship eventually grew beyond basketball. LeBron was reportedly invited to Draymond's wedding, a detail that reveals more than any friendly photograph. Weddings are personal spaces reserved for people who have become part of your life. That history gives Draymond access no executive can manufacture. A general manager can explain salary structures, a coach can present tactical plans, Curry can describe the basketball fit, but Draymond can speak to LeBron as someone who once fought him, later understood him, and now genuinely knows him. He can ask the question no formal presentation can deliver with the same force. Do you want our final chapter to be together? That is why the undisclosed meeting mattered. It was a friendship built through conflict being tested at the exact moment it could alter NBA history. Stephen Curry's quiet role. Draymond may be the loudest voice in the operation, but he is not the only Warrior working behind the scene. Stephen Curry reportedly met with LeBron before Draymond's private gathering. That changes the way the entire story should be viewed. This was not one emotional teammate acting alone. It looked more like a coordinated recruiting sequence. With each Warriors legend delivering a different part of the pitch, Curry represents the basketball dream. He can offer LeBron something no other destination can reproduce: the chance to play beside the most dangerous off-ball weapon in league history. Defenses cannot load up on LeBron when Curry is sprinting through screens. They cannot comfortably switch smaller defenders onto James without risking punishment. They cannot trap Curry without opening passing lanes for one of the smartest playmakers ever. The Olympics provided a preview. During the United States' gold medal run in Paris, LeBron and Curry experienced high-pressure basketball on the same side. Their skills did not clash. They amplified each other. Curry created space. LeBron controlled tempo. Steve Kerr managed the system. The partnership was no longer a social media fantasy. It had worked in real competition. Draymond represents personal trust. Curry can explain how they would play. Draymond can explain how it would feel. One offers spacing, movement, and championship structure. The other offers friendship, honesty, and emotional security. Together, they form Golden State's strongest argument. The Warriors are not asking LeBron to build new relationships late in his career. They are inviting him into a circle that already exists. Curry respects him, Kerr has coached him, Draymond knows him, the system is familiar, and the goal is simple: one final run. But Golden State can win the relationship battle and still lose the decision if another team offers a younger, deeper, and more complete roster. That is why Curry's quiet role matters, but it may not be enough. One name still controls whether the Warriors' vision feels like a championship plan or merely a beautiful reunion tour. The Anthony Davis problem. That name is Anthony Davis. According to the logic surrounding Golden State's pursuit, LeBron may not view the Warriors as a leading destination unless Davis arrives with him. That condition turns a powerful recruiting story into a nearly impossible front office puzzle. Without Davis, Golden State would still offer Curry, Draymond, Kerr, and years of mutual respect. But friendship cannot protect the rim. Olympic chemistry cannot defend younger front courts for an entire postseason. LeBron knows exactly what Davis provides because they have already won a championship together. Davis gives the dream credibility. He can erase defensive mistakes, dominate smaller lineups, finish LeBron's passes, and reduce the physical burden on aging star. In a playoff series, his presence could become the difference between a nostalgic headline and an actual title contender. The problem is that Golden State does not control his contract. Another organization must agree to the trade. Jimmy Butler's salary may need to be included. Multiple first-round picks could be demanded. Davis may seek long-term security. Draymond's new contract must fit. LeBron must accept the final financial structure. Every piece depends on another piece falling into place first. Meanwhile, rival teams are not waiting. Cleveland can sell homecoming, history, and an emotional connection. Miami can offer culture and a return to a place where LeBron already won. Philadelphia can present star talent and a potentially stronger short-term roster. Golden State may have the most dramatic story, but LeBron is choosing a basketball destination, not producing a documentary. That is why Draymond's gamble remains fragile. He can remind LeBron of their friendship. Curry can describe the offensive possibilities. Kerr can show the system. Ownership can promise urgency. But if the Warriors cannot acquire Davis, the pitch may lack the one thing LeBron needs most: proof that this team can survive 4 playoff rounds. The private meeting kept Golden State alive. The podcast comments increased the pressure. The contract sacrifice created flexibility. But Anthony Davis is the final door, and unless it opens, the future Draymond is trying to build may never exist. Draymond's ultimate gamble. When every private meeting, public comment, and contract decision is connected, one truth becomes clear. Draymond Green has placed himself at the center of the biggest gamble of his career. He gave Golden State financial flexibility, publicly defended LeBron James, and turned a friendship born from years of rivalry into a possible recruiting advantage. But he also accepted a serious risk. If this plan fails, Draymond could lose guaranteed money, face a smaller contract, or even become part of another trade. Strategically, Golden State's vision only works if almost everything goes right. LeBron may need to accept less money. Draymond must return on a team-friendly deal. The Warriors may have to trade Jimmy Butler and valuable draft picks to acquire Anthony Davis. Curry, LeBron, Draymond, and Davis would also need to remain healthy through a long season. Famous names alone do not guarantee a championship. The hidden challenge would be everything around those stars. Golden State would still need reliable shooting, younger defenders, and a bench capable of protecting leads while the veterans rest. Steve Kerr would have to manage minutes carefully without sacrificing rhythm or playoff position. One injury, one weak second unit, or one chemistry problem could expose how fragile the plan really is. The Warriors would not only be betting on talent, they would be betting on health, timing, and total trust. Curry cannot carry the offense every night. LeBron cannot control every important possession. Draymond cannot solve every defensive problem, and Davis cannot protect the team from every injury. They would need communication, discipline, and a willingness to sacrifice shots, money, minutes, and individual attention. If Golden State wins another title, Draymond's decision will be remembered as an extraordinary act of loyalty. He would be the player who sacrificed personal security to give Stephen Curry one final championship opportunity. But if the plan fails, the consequences could damage the franchise's future. Golden State may lose draft capital, roster depth, financial flexibility, and the trust of players who believe they were still part of the organization's plans. The Lakers could also learn an important lesson. Moving on from LeBron may look logical on paper, but replacing his leadership, playoff experience, influence, and ability to handle pressure will not be easy. Sometimes a franchise only understands a legend's complete value after he is gone. LeBron must now choose the ending that gives him the strongest chance to win and the greatest peace. Cleveland offers home. Miami offers familiarity. Philadelphia may offer talent. Golden State offers the chance to turn former rivals into teammates and chase one final championship beside Stephen Curry. But friendship should never become pressure, and loyalty should never allow people to be treated like disposable pieces. Whatever happens, Golden State must handle Butler, honestly. Respect Draymond's sacrifice and accept LeBron's final decision. Championships and legacies matter, but the way people are treated while chasing them matters too. Now the NBA is waiting for LeBron's answer. Where are you watching from? Comment 1 if LeBron should join Golden State, or 2 if he should choose another team. Subscribe, like, and share for more NBA news and drama.